Christmas investigation. Long, long ago, I saw Christmas through the eyes of a child, and it was just magical. There were boxes of lemon sweets, afternoon tea biscuits, Christmas trees that smelled like pine in a forest, and most of all, Santa. Santa was a special person with superpowers. He knew if you'd been good or bad, as he'd been watching you throughout the year. Rumour had it, one child who had misbehaved got a lump of coal for Christmas instead of the much awaited presents. You could ask for a surprise, and he knew exactly what you wanted. If he couldn't give you that surprise, as a lot of children may have asked for the same thing, he would replace it with something just as good and sometimes even better. Every house had fireplaces and chimneys in those days, so Santa had no problems coming down the chimney. Despite the fact there was a possibility that he could be slightly overweight. As children, we decided this was due to the fact that most of the houses he visited left something nice for him to eat and drink. Poor Rudolph had to be satisfied with carrots and must have eaten millions of them on his journey across the world. You would never question Santa. You went to bed early on Christmas Eve and pretended to be asleep. In actual fact, you hoped to hear his sleigh on the roof, the tinkle of the bells as he arrived, or better still, a rustle downstairs as he left the presents. He was always gone in a few minutes, as he was a very busy man. One particular Christmas, my sister Anne had an idea. We would conduct an investigation. She decided we would check if Santa actually brought those glass bottles of Coca-Cola he left in our Christmas stockings, or used our Christmas supply, bought specially for the occasion. Of course, there were other treats in the stockings as well, but this investigation was to be all about the Coca-Cola bottles. Every year, a few days before Christmas, our dad would buy bottles of minerals, Coca-Cola, Fanta and 7-Up. These bottles were very narrow in the middle, and as children the glass seemed much thicker than the glass nowadays. The top was a proper cap and had to be taken off with a bottle opener, and the edge was serrated so you could easily cut your hand, so it was definitely a job for an adult. Our Christmas supply was kept in a house out in the back garden where our coal was stored. We didn't go there much, as you could meet an occasional spider passing by on his travels. Our cat loved to check it out, but it was forbidden territory to her, as she usually appeared covered in coal dust once she finished her exploring. We made a plan for the investigation. Anne would go into the coal house and mark the ends of all the Coca-Cola bottles. She would use a black marker. I would keep watch and make sure she wasn't seen. Looking back, I thought she was very brave, as it meant she was there for a while and it was getting dark. Job done, we went back into the house and hung up our Christmas stockings. We left a note asking for Coca-Cola to make sure we could check the right bottles. Our other two sisters weren't included in the investigation, as we decided it would get too complicated as they were much younger. We went to bed early, very excited, and wondering if Santa would bring everything we asked. We hoped we'd been good enough throughout the year. Eventually, we fell asleep. Early next morning, we crept downstairs, and there, right before our eyes, were all the presents we asked for. In our excitement, we nearly forgot the investigation. We emptied our Christmas stockings, Shiny money, bracelets, hair slides, ribbons, fruit, a few other treats, and a bottle of Coca-Cola. We could hardly contain our excitement. There on the bottom of each of the bottles was the big black X Anne had drawn. We checked our younger sister bottles as well, just to be completely sure. And there it was, the big black X. This proved that Santa did indeed use our supply and didn't bring his own. We were delighted with the result. It didn't change our opinion of Santa or how we felt about him. To us, he was still the most generous, kindest, magical person we knew. It was our secret, as we played with our presents for yet another wonderful Christmas day. As a result of the successful investigation, we both decided we'd become detectives when we grew up, but we never did. As adults, many years later, we often remember that Christmas of childhood innocence long, long ago.